Yes, God needs to be fired. 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 He shouldn't be a God. He shouldn't be allowed to be a God. And I know you're going to say who makes it allowed or whatever, because yeah, you're right. He's supposed to be the omnipotent, most powerful being of all existence. He made everything, which makes no sense because who made God? That'd be the question. But yeah, your God needs to be fired. And more specifically, I'm going to give you a good reason: slavery. If you haven't noticed, I'm African American. African, born in America. That's my genetics. Just like everybody else can trace their genetics back to where they come from, Germany, Russia, wherever you're from, China, wherever you're from, whatever. That's part of who you are. I'm not just black. Black is a color in a crayon box. But my genetics can be found, can be traced back to Africa. You know, the place where they took my ancestors from. You know, so yeah, God should be fired. You know, in one specific reason: slavery. Slavery is explicitly permitted and regulated, not condemned, but rather it is actually regulated about slavery, about how to do slavery. Rather than banning slavery, the Bible gives instructions on how to do it properly. Here's the verses. Exodus 21, 2-7. Hebrew slaves have limited terms, but foreign slaves do not. Hebrew slaves have limited terms, but foreign slaves do not. Well, for my last check, I guess I'm not Hebrew, which means I could be a slave indefinitely. Leviticus 25, 44, 46. Foreign slaves are property and can be inherited permanently. So I can become a slave permanently once again through that verse. But your God is so wonderful, so great. That's what he does. So you may buy slaves, they shall be your property. You can bequeath them to your children forever. So I can become enslaved property of your child forever. And then my children. And then my children's children. Which actually did happen. So they used the Bible as a tool to keep my people enslaved. But I'm supposed to love Jesus and the Bible and God. You all are silly. It worked this far and this long with my people, but a lot of us, or some of us, are beginning to wake up and see that this is not good for us. So the Bible also says that foreign slaves are treated as permanent property. The Bible creates two moral classes of humans. Two moral classes of humans. So one can be treated one way, another one can be treated another way. Israelites, temporary servitude. Israelites have temporary servitude. So when people say, you know, that old saying, "Who I worked hard as a Hebrew slave." Really? Really? No one have worked harder than African Americans or black people ever. That's a fact. Hands down. And we continue, and not just have you worked, but you have not been, given your just rewards for doing such. There's no reprisal for it. So save me with the, worked as hard as a Hebrew slave. Give me a break. Non-Israelites have lifetime ownership. Once again, Leviticus 25, 44-46. Then they say beating slaves is allowed. Beating slaves is allowed. As long as they don't die. immediately. So if the enslaved people was beaten and they don't die immediately, then it's perfectly fine. Again, your God is so powerful and has all these other rules about eating bread and all this other stuff, whatever, about what type of linen clothing that you wear, but yet still when it comes to something that's really important, like enslavement of people, for some reason he don't give a damn. Your God needs to be fired. Your God sucks. God, Jesus, whichever one you want to use, I don't care. All of them, they need to suck. Any and all of them. Because when the time mattered, when you actually had a chance to do something, and show your power, and do something about the condition of people for generations after generations, you did nothing because you are worthless and because you are non-existent. There is no God. He or she is non-existent. Tell your God I said that. So that beating slaves is allowed as long as they don't die immediately, which is physical abuse of enslaved people, is explicitly permitted. Verses. That's Exodus 21, 20 to 21. Again, I didn't make up this book. And you all try to condone it and try to fluff it up and try to make it, package it up in a nice package or whatever so that y'all can stay cool with Sky Daddy, sweet Sky Daddy Jesus. I don't give a damn about your sweet Sky Daddy. To hell with Jesus, to hell with God. He had an opportunity to do something. He, she, they had an opportunity to do something, did nothing. But this is what it says. This is what's in your book. You read it up. You look it up yourself and you find out what it says. Exodus 21, 20 to 21. If a man beats his slave and the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be punished. So if a man beats his slave and the slave survives a day or two, he is not to be punished, for the slave is his property. It's another one. Jesus in the New Testament never condemned slavery, despite being presented as the moral upgrade. Now here comes Jesus. This is the one that everybody, oh, that's Old Testament you were talking about. Old Testament. Now here's New Testament. Well, sweet daddy, sweet Sky Daddy Jesus, he jumps onto the scene. But it says, despite being presented as the moral upgrade, the New Testament never abolishes slavery. Sky Daddy Jesus had an opportunity to jump in and do something, but he did nothing. Once again, he's non-existent. That's why he jumped in and did nothing. Man put this book together. More specifically, white people. White men put this together and said, you know what? And like I said before, I had a sneaky feeling that this was put together during the time of our enslavement. You had plenty of time to work things out and put whatever you want to put in there. Change this and change that. Add this and add that. Make it easier to swallow. And then present it to black people and say, hey, listen, this is not us. This is what the book says. And this is a guide that all of us follow, right? So you have to continue to be enslaved because this is what God wants you to do. So he had the power and ability to do something, but Jesus did nothing. He didn't do anything. So the verses are Ephesians 6:5. Slave must obey masters. Colossians 3:22. Same instructions. 1 Peter 2:18. Slaves must submit even to cruel masters. So somebody being cruel to you, you have to sit up here and take it. Because this book says you have to do this. This is ridiculous. Ridiculous. I got to submit to a cruel master. Be happy about it, I guess. Even when this is happening. Once again, not my words, your book. Look it up. But you dare not to. But you want to package it up and make it seem like this not the same time and this and that. Well, they didn't mean this and they didn't mean that. No, if they meant whatever, they should have put that in your silly book. There's so many reasons why I say your God and Jesus and all this stuff does not exist. It's not real. Now, another one was biblical slavery was used to justify real world atrocities. For centuries, these verses were used to justify transatlantic slavery, colonial exploitation, forced conversions, and racial hierarchy. And all good God would foresee how such laws would be weaponized. Instead, this wonderful Bible provides a ready-made moral defense for owning humans. The Bible is crap. Jesus is crap. God is crap. And you all, because you don't want to do your simple homework, or just do simple reading, open up your mind and read what's there in front of you. But I'm the one that's evil. I'm the one that's going to hell and all this other stuff. Whatever. Your God is not real. Jesus is not real. But this is another reason why black people specifically should not be following this stupid book. It's to our own demise, to our own destruction. Your God, your Jesus can go to the hell that they made. Whatever hell they made, they can go straight to that hell. Because you know what? If there was a hell, if there was a Jesus, whatever, or God, and the time come or whatever, I got plenty of questions for the bastard. You let these things happen and you do nothing. And that's just the compass of slavery. That's just down that path. What about all the other things that go on in this world? All the other things that they said in this stupid book that was okay to happen. Jesus suck. God suck. All of them do. Both of them do. The stupid Bible suck. Right there it says it. Look it up, folks. Your God and Jesus is not real. And both of them can go to hell. Straight to it.